So if EC is the only Togo or somewhere, Burkina Faso or in some houses, and you do your activation and send your codes to the thief who is a relative, how are we supposed to know? So we have then decided that to put a check on those things. If we don't know or cannot identify the kids that are stolen, at least those that are in use today can be identified and tracked so that we know the identity of the kids that are being used in this registration exercise. Faced with this imminent threat of a compromised voters register, we adopted a precautionary measure going into the limited registration exercise, and that is why the NDC tasked its registration agents across the country to record the serial numbers of all BVR kits that will be deployed by the Electoral Commission. And the logic is simple. You have so many registration kits. You claim some thief has stolen some of them, whose identity you refuse to disclose to us, so we can track them when we see them somewhere. Now if we say that, okay, if we cannot track those that are missing, at least we can track those that are in use now, so that when we know those that are in use, then data from any other equipment that is not in use in our registration centers here would then be rejected as fraudulent data that is coming from elsewhere. Now that too, you say no way, we won't allow you to take the serial numbers and track the equipment that is being used in this country. What is the reason? As I have said earlier, among other things, the essence of recording the serial numbers of the BVR kits will help us trace, identify, and match every registration data emanating from a specific district or electoral area. The serial numbers will also help us track all unauthorized personnel who operate the BVR kits in an electoral area. This will forestall any clandestine registration aimed at contaminating the voters' register. We are determined to ring-fence the threat and risks for the 2024 elections by documenting the serial numbers of each BVR kit that will be used in this registration exercise. Our agents also have our firm instructions that if BVR kits malfunction and are replaced during registration, they should duly record the serial numbers of the new BVR kits and the date and time of their use. Ladies and gentlemen, we are utterly surprised that this precautionary measure, simple as it may be, taken by the NDC, is being resisted fiercely by the Electoral Commission. For whatever purpose, nobody knows. Why is the EC resisting and stopping NDC registration agents from recording the serial numbers of biometric voter registration kits? Why? The question is, what does the EC have to hide? What is their fear over the mere recording of the serial numbers of these BVR kits, knowing very well, and you are resisting? Are you not part of the thieves? Is there something they are hiding from the public? Will our precautionary measure not prevent the criminals who stole the BVR kits from using them to illegally register people? If the EC has nothing to hide, they should just allow all willing political parties to record the serial numbers of BVR kits during this limited voter registration exercise. Friends from the media, on election day, serial numbers of biometric verification devices are recorded on the statement of pool, commonly called pin sheets. Is that not the case? Agents of political parties have access to the serial numbers of BVDs. So why stop the recording of serial numbers of BVR kits? Those who may not understand this, the biometric voter registration kit is what is being used now to capture the data of persons of registrable age. In other words, to help us compile the voters register. During election, in order to ensure that the same people who were registered are the very people who will be voting, we upload these registers onto the BVD, biometric verification devices. The data that is being captured with the BVRs is uploaded onto the BVDs and taken to the polling stations where their particulars are used to verify whether they are the same people who were registered on that day. Now, to the serial device, let us now identify the kits that are used to capture the register in the first place, and you say no. What it means is that you alone seems to be used and nobody can track it. So you can add names there. And once the names are already inside, when you upload them onto the verification kits and the people turn out to vote, even if they come as Togolese or Burkinabes or Ivorians, the law does not prevent them from voting once their names are already inside. So we are saying, let us have a handle on the equipment that is being used to capture the register. Then we can trace where each of the equipments will be operating. So that if we find an equipment that has captured data and it is not in the stock that has been deployed across the country, we can raise questions. Is that not a transparency measure that will improve the credibility of the voters register and by extension the credibility of the Electoral Commission itself, if they are interested in building any credibility at all? And Ghanaians, because we are all Ghanaians as well. A notice is hereby served that NDC registration agents across the country will resist the EC's clandestine attempts aimed at diminishing transparency in the voter registration exercise. Let me emphasize that our agents must activate the party's high-tech application systems to transmit all serial numbers of BVR kits in their district and electoral areas to the National Elections and IT Directorate of the party, with or without the approval of the Electoral Commission. We shall not falter. We shall not relent. We shall not tire. And we will live true to our mantra that NDC, no retreat, no surrender. Ladies and gentlemen, we do not expect the Electoral Commission of Ghana to act as the conduit through which Akufo-Addo will implement his avowed determination not to hand over power to a visionary, experienced, and trustworthy John Dramani Mahama. MPP, the National Democratic Congress, in their own interests. The 2024 elections will not be business as usual. The EC must sit up. The EC must answer the 35 questions posed by the NDC on the stolen biometric equipment. And the EC has no option but to allow our agents to record the serial numbers of the BVR kits deployed for this registration exercise if they have nothing to hide. Improved transparency, ladies and gentlemen, is beneficial to all stakeholders. But above all, it enhances the credibility of the elections administration body, which in our case is the Electoral Commission of Ghana. Finally, let me use this opportunity to repeal our call to the Ghanaian population, particularly through the civil society organizations, chiefs, opinion leaders, leaders of faith-based organizations, etc., etc., to join us to demand more transparency and fairness, which is a necessary precondition for peaceful elections. Anybody who is interested in peaceful elections must begin demanding transparency and fairness in the elections.